Hello again. Sometimes various news stories coincide with each other in an uncanny way so as to demonstrate a deeper truth than either would have done by themselves. Let me explain. The British government have recently announced their new definition of anti-Muslim hostility. I shall return to that in a moment, but first let's look at what happened as this new version of Islamophobia was about to be published. In Harrow, a London suburb last week, Hindus were celebrating the spring festival of Holi when they were attacked by 20 youths from a nearby mosque. These young men were wearing masks and balaclava helmets. I give a link to a film of this in the description to this video. Interestingly, the British newspapers, none of them wished to report this attack by Muslims on a group of peaceful Indians. It does not really fit in with the narrative, you see, of Muslims as innocent victims of prejudice and hostility from everybody else. This then is the crux of the matter. Wherever we look in the real world, it is Muslims who are rampaging around, assaulting other people by beating, stabbing, shooting, or blowing them up. We hear suggestions, for example, that right-wing racists wish to burn down hotels containing asylum seekers. But the only such hotel that was ever been burned down, the Phoenix Hotel in the Essex village of North Will, well, it was a Muslim called Rawan Abdul Ria who was charged with arson. I give a link to a newspaper report of this in the description to this video. It is not Muslims who need to be protected from our hostility, but we who needed to be shielded from the unremitting hostility which some Muslims direct against everybody and everything which is not associated with their own lifestyle and religion. So what is this new policy which has been formulated to replace the old idea of Islamophobia? It is a little wordy, but I think it deserves to be quoted in full and the implications examined. Here we go. Anti-Muslim hostility is intentionally engaging in, assisting, or encouraging criminal acts, including acts of violence, vandalism, harassment, or intimidation, whether physical, verbal, written, or electronically communicated, that are directed at Muslims because of their religion, or at those who are perceived to be Muslim, including where that perception is based on assumptions about ethnicity, race, or appearance. Well, we stop right there and observe that criminal acts such as violence, vandalism, harassment, and intimidation, whether physical, verbal, or written, are and have been for many years, well, criminal. They're already against the law. Engaging in, assisting, or encouraging criminal acts is already illegal in this country, whether they are directed against Muslims, Jews, Christians, or atheists. It has always been illegal to carry out illegal acts or encourage them. This first part of the policy is therefore complete nonsense. What's next? It is also the prejudicial stereotyping of Muslims or people perceived to be Muslim, including because of their ethnic or racial backgrounds or their appearance, and treating them as a collective group defined by fixed and negative characteristics, with the intention of encouraging hatred against them, irrespective of their actual opinions, beliefs, or actions as individuals. Next, we have this. It is engaging in unlawful discrimination, where the relevant conduct, including the creation or use of practices and biases within institutions, is intended to disadvantage Muslims in public and economic life. Well, of course, engaging in unlawful discrimination is unlawful. That is to say, it is against the law. This applies to any unlawful discrimination, not just that against Muslims. I honestly don't know who drew up this document, but it strikes me they couldn't have been firing on all cylinders at the time. We are told that unlawful discrimination is unlawful and that engaging in criminal acts is criminal. I mean, seriously, I have my own suggestion for reducing any hostility or perceived hostility against Muslims. Perhaps if some Muslims stop planting bombs, attacking members of other religions, launching stabbing sprees, or burning down hotels containing asylum seekers, then the general public might possibly start having a less negative view of Muslims in general. Of course, one cannot generalize, and nor am I doing so here. But when the most violent and antisocial activities we see, such as blowing up little girls at a pop concert, are carried out by Muslims, it is bound to reflect badly on those belonging to the same group. How would it be if some mosques acted to rein in their wilder members and actively to discourage certain behaviours rather than condoning and in some cases encouraging them? Do you think this might reduce the anti-Muslim hostility about which some folk are concerned? I mean, does anybody in authority ever ask themselves why there is such a thing as anti-Muslim hostility? Do you think they ever say to themselves, that's funny, we never hear about anti-Hindu hostility or anti-Sikh hostility or anti-Chinese hostility? What is it about Muslims that has provoked all this hostility which we are seeing? I don't think that anybody in government can ever have thought along these lines. Had they done so, they would perhaps have realised that the average British person does not feel any instinctive hostility towards religions other than his own. Nobody exhibits hostility towards Confucianism or Taoism, do they? Why is that? Have any viewers ever encountered or heard of in this country of people feeling negatively towards, let alone hostile about, Buddhism? Why is the public discourse not centering around anti-Buddhist hostility? The very idea, of course, sounds absurd. Why would we, any of us, be hostile to another religion which we didn't practice ourselves? I fear that until those in authority start asking themselves difficult questions of this kind, then we are not apt to get very far in reducing the hostility felt to one particular religion.